views and opinions expressed on the following program are those of the hosts and guests, and not necessarily those of the staff or management of alltalkradio.net.
Mother Nature has the answer to all the things we need. It is in the purest waters which flow out to the sea. You will find
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Zenus Hour. And we've got a good show tonight. Mike Broadwell is with us with Medica Health. How are you, Mike?
Doing great. How are you tonight?
Good, and thanks for joining us. And tell us a little bit about your technology. We had a little brief meeting before the show, and a lot of it is a little over my head, but the way you explain it with the color and the energy, what got you interested in that?
Well, I had a background in promoting energy therapies. I had first ran across EFT probably a dozen years ago or something, which is the tapping. Most people are becoming familiar with that. It's pretty common. And just got me fascinated by it, and so I started learning a little more about it. And then for a while I started marketing online with my neighbor who was big into alternative health, and we decided to do a teleseminar series and interview a lot of experts. And I said, why don't we do it on this energy healing stuff? It's pretty cool. And she said, okay. So we ended up interviewing a lot of the top people in the world on energy healing, people like Donna Eden and Richard Gordon, who does quantum touch, Alex Lloyd with the healing codes, just almost a who's who of the energy healing experts, the tapping people, and all sorts of people. So we got, a pretty good thing going there. And then one day I went to a conference on energy, and I ran across some equipment there that was this fusion light therapy or crystal light therapy from Medica Health, and I was fascinated by it. And they were given sample sessions, and so I tried it, and I thought, boy, I really felt great, balanced and relaxed. And I would ask different people that were at the show, which of these therapies do you like? And almost every one of them said, I really like that Theragem, and then I also like this, or I like Theragem, and I like that. So it was a very common theme. So I talked to the people at Medica Health and just kind of signed on to help promote it in the U.S. They're a UK-based company, so I started working with it and using it on myself, and then helping to promote it around the country. And now I'm the only certified trainer based in the United States for training up therapists with this. So I just found it was a wonderful product to work with, and the results that I've seen with it are just nothing short of amazing. So,
and for our listeners that are not familiar with energy healing, tell us a little bit about how that relates to the color, because you were showing me the gems.
Mm-hmm.
And the different power and the different colors. So can you explain that in layman's terms for us?
Yeah, well, in general, what energy healing is, or energy, it's kind of a broad, vague term, but, people say, well, everything is energy. Well, that doesn't really narrow it down a whole lot. But if you've heard of something like Qigong, which is a kind of an exercise, a Chinese exercise, the Chinese word for energy is Qi, or life force energy, we call it. And we're all made out of energy. And the way you can experience that is we're an energetic being. We have fields around us, and it used to be called the vibe. Like, I'm getting bad vibes in this place.
Right. And
you know that. You walk in a place like, oh, I don't like the vibe in here. Or, I just love the vibe in here.
Yeah.
And there's certain people that we just feel so good around, and there's certain people that you just like, I just want to get away from this person, or they get in your space. We all have kind of a certain space that's comfortable, and if somebody gets too close, we want to pull back from them. And that's all related to our energy. And you might hear the term aura. That's kind of our energy field again around us. Or if you think about it, when we're driving a car, how many times have we had the experience of wanting to do a left lane shift, or right if you're in the UK, I guess, so that's kind of tricky driving over there. But and all of a sudden something just tells you, no, don't do it, and all of a sudden you'll see somebody was in your blind spot. Yeah. Have you ever experienced that?
Yeah, I actually was just telling somebody yesterday about an incident I had where I was driving through an intersection, and the light had turned green well in advance of me getting there, and I just had a funny feeling, and I kind of just slowed down, and son of a gun if a truck didn't blow right through the red light. And I just had a feeling. I I had an uneasy feeling, so I know what you're talking about.
I had that exact experience. I think I was a teenager in the town I grew up in Alabama, and I was driving downtown, and it was one of these little towns where the buildings are right up to the street corner, and the light was about to had just turned green for me, and the main drag was, you know, coming cross street, and something told me stop. And right as I did, I heard a semi truck kick it into gear and blow through the light, and I couldn't see him because he was blocked by. But it's the same exact thing. I would have been 2 inches wide if that had happened. So we all experience that. So that's really energy, and so the whole thing could be made about that alone. And what the Theragem is, and I'll grab the units. Maybe it'll help to show it, kind of show and tell wise. But the Theragem is based on an older technology. This is not the first company to develop this sort of thing. It was, as an electrical device, was developed in the 70s by a guy named Harry Oldfield in the United Kingdom, who's well known for developing energy-based devices. And it's based around a ancient healing methodology that goes way back into ancient India and beyond. Ayurveda, you may have heard the term Ayurveda or Ayurvedic healing. You may have heard the term chakras, which are the energy centers of the body. And so what they did in the ancient world is they would take a gemstone, and, you know, gemstones have always been used for healing for thousands of years. They, if you go to the Old Testament, they had different gemstones in the vestments that the priests wore in the temple. And those weren't just decorative, I'm sure. I mean, but
excuse me.
That's all right. But the what they would do in the ancient world is they might take you out in the sunlight and put a gemstone on your chest or on your body somewhere, where the light would come straight from the sun through the gemstone and into that part of the body. And so that was one way to do it. The Ayurvedic, they also would actually grind up gemstones and swallow them, which I wouldn't recommend doing, but you can't digest them. But they found that there was something about having those gemstones in your body that would have to do with health. And I remember reading not too long ago about I think it was a rap singer, a big rap star, and he had this big ruby ring on. And he was feeling terrible. He was just been sick, and somebody saw him and said, "You need to take that ring off." He's like, "Well, why?" "That's the wrong kind of ring to have on. That'll take your energy away." Because in his case, it was either giving him the wrong energy or pulling out the energy he needed, because each gemstone does have different properties.
Yeah.
And why do they work? Well, basically, we're made of minerals. We know about taking our vitamins and minerals, right? We're full of minerals. And so we resonate with the minerals in gemstones. And the ancient people have known that certain gemstones resonate, like rose quartz is considered about love in the heart, and we use that to treat the heart with. Mm-hmm. So there's a whole science behind gemstones, and the University of Calgary in Canada has done a recent study on this that you might be able to find online about how gemstones are used in healing. So
now, as a practitioner, how do you know when you start working with someone? You were mentioning a woman you're working with knee pain. Mm-hmm. What indicators do you have when you start working with someone? What colors they need?
Okay, well, that's a good question. I guess to kind of give the full scope of what this is actually, this device consists of light, which is like sunlight. So if I turn this on, I don't know if you can see that on the camera, but you can see that it's kind of a bright light. It might overwhelm the camera. So it's like sunlight. It's what's called polychromatic light, or poly meaning many frequencies. White is all frequencies, or all colors blended together. And then what we do is we take various different mixtures of gemstones. In this case, this is a diamond and carnelian, and there's some color in the back. You can see there's a yellow or orangish color filter here.
Like an amber, it looks like.
Yeah, kind of an amber.
Yeah.
Now we would call this, would this be a warm color or a cool color in your mind? It's a warm color, exactly. So we kind of all know that certain colors give us certain feelings of warmth or coolness. Mm-hmm. In this case, I would use this to warm up part of the body that might be cool or under-stimulated or not getting enough blood flow. So, for instance, one of our base treatments is we put this light in. Now you can see I've got a yellowish light. Yeah. I've got the the full spectrum light coming through the gemstones, coming through this non-toxic resin filter, all hand balanced and organic as much as it can be, or non-toxic. And it's carrying the information from the gemstones, just like in the ancient world when they would put that gemstone on your body. It's carrying that information into your body. According to Harvard Medical School studies, that sunlight penetrates about 7 inches into the body. I think 24 centimeters, roughly 7 inches, into your body. And we were talking about, you grew up in Michigan where the winters are awful. It's gray and cold. And when the first day, you said you had 1 month where you didn't see the sun for a month.
It was the late 80s, and I'll never forget it because we were keeping track. And the entire month of February, there was not 1 minute of sun.
And how good did you feel when you first saw the sun on March 1st or whatever that was?
Well, Michigan people are famous for, in March, the first day that goes over 40, people are out on the street in their shorts. You know?
But you know how good you feel in the sun when you haven't been in the sun. Because I remember when I went to college, we didn't see the sun for 2 weeks. I was in the South even, but it was gray and cloudy. And the sun just makes you feel alive and energized. So that in itself is a healing therapy. That's why people would go to the desert, places like this, to get healed, right? Just to get sunshine. And then my girlfriend lives in England, and she just craves sunshine.
Yeah.
She came over, she's like, I want to be in the sun all the time. So that in itself is a healing modality. When you add color, which is also healing, and we don't think about it, but you don't walk into an airplane that's colored yellow inside. You ever noticed a yellow interior in an airplane? They don't do that because yellow energizes you. You don't want people energized or agitated on an airplane. You want to calm them down, so you'll see maybe a brown or a gray or a bluish color that's calming. And have you heard about the psychologist that came up with a certain type of pink? And they paint prison cells with this pink. And they found when they put somebody, they first arrest them, they're really agitated and angry. They put them in the cell, and within 30 minutes, they'll calm right down. Babies that are born jaundiced, they put them under, I believe it's a blue light, and they will, it'll just give them whatever they need, and then within a few hours, they'll be back to functioning normal. And so light therapy is actually well known, and it's people who design buildings, you like your room to be a certain color. We tend to wear colors. Now, I'm a guy. We're not known for our sensibilities as much as women are for dressing a lot of times, but you tend to wear colors that actually you're reflecting the color of what you're wearing. So you tend to maybe unconsciously pick colors because maybe you're trying to diminish that amount of color in. I talked to an expert color therapist in London last year when I was over there at a trade show, and she was wearing this pretty white dress with flowers, and I said, that's such a pretty dress. Everybody in London wears this black all the time. It's like, oh, no, you wear black, you absorb everybody's energy. And so that's really interesting, But you go to certain cities, even here, like in Seattle or Portland, or, it's, people look nice, but they're all wearing black. And you're just pulling in energies from people. So there's a whole science behind what to wear and how it makes you feel, what you paint your room. Building designers do a lot of study on the psychological effects of light and color in architecture. And so there's a whole science behind that. And it does change the way we feel emotionally. And we know emotions affect our health. So the other element of this device is brainwave frequencies. And you've all probably heard of alpha, beta, delta, theta brainwaves. And there have been a lot of studies, and scientists measure this. And we know that in certain, like delta is a sleeping state. We go into delta when we go to sleep. Theta is the state of healing. So that's a very relaxed. Alpha is kind of a state of what you get into when you watch television, and it makes you very passive, apparently. So that's why they program you with television programming. You're in its alpha state, and it just goes right in past the filters. Beta tends to be the waking, thinking, active state. And so these are meant to be in, different times of the day. And we can do tests that show what state that the waves are in, the brain waves are in. Well, the brain wave talks to the body. I mean, the body communicates due to these frequencies. So if I shine this light, say, on your arm or your hand or whatever, your hand is saying, I recognize that. That's like English. It's like if you were in Japan and you didn't speak Japanese, or you hear somebody from America and they're or England and like, wow, somebody speaks English. I want to go talk to them. I understand what they're saying.
Yeah.
Your body recognizes a response to the frequencies that we're actually running through this light. So it's a blending of light, like sunlight, colors, which we just talked about, gemstones with healing properties, and the brainwave frequencies. There's a few other things in there. There's something called a Schumann resonance. Have you heard that term?
No.
The Schumann resonance is the Earth's natural frequency.
Oh, okay.
And it has to do with the lightning and stuff in the atmosphere. And it's about 7 to 10 cycles per second. And this gets really disturbed with all the EMF pollution that we have now with cell phones, and everything's electronic, you know, radiating all kind of stuff.
Right.
That's why you look on anything electronic, it has an FCC label on it. And it's because everything radiates. Computers, all these things radiate.
Yeah.
This really affects us. There's now studies coming out about how bad cell phones are for us and how Wi-Fi can be, you know, disrupt our biofields. So this natural Schumann resonance, we lose that in all this noise pollution. So this helps to give the body kind of this natural frequency that it craves. And then so for, you're asking how do we deal with a particular condition. We pretty much have a manual put together for most of the basics. And what we would start with is what we call an elation therapy, where I would take the light and shine it over the crown of the head using a sapphire, which is a calming blue crystal with blue filtering, color filtering, on a theta frequency. And theta is the meditative healing frequency. They've studied these transcendental meditation. It was big into science when that was popular in the 70s and all. And they love to be studied and meditating. And so they really did a lot of studies, and they found out the brainwave states of people. And so we put you into a very relaxed theta, and what that does is it kind of gently massages the glands of the brain, the hypothalamus, the pineal gland, and they'll start a hormonal cascading through the body. And we've got data we can show through testing. It balances the heart. So it automatically helps to create a balance, which is really what we're trying to do in healing, is not fix something that's broken. We're trying to give the body balance, and then the body heals itself.
Gotcha. We
give it the materials. It's just like if you play basketball, you got to be balanced. So the more balanced you are, you can react to this way or that way, you know, whatever the game flow is.
Yeah.
If you're out of balance, you easily get knocked off balance, and you know, the guy scores on you, and you get put on the bench, right? So same with the body. We want to create balance. So we're not necessarily trying to heal something as much as, or cure something. We're trying to just give the body balance and create that.
Right. Now, can you, before we get too much further, in case we forget to do it later in the show, can you tell people how to get a hold of you, your website, and that kind of information?
Sure. The easiest way is just to go to fusionlighttherapy.com. That's fusion, F-U-S-I-O-N, light, L-I-G-H-T, therapy.com. And you can get links. That's a web page that I put up that puts a lot of basic information. It's got a video demonstration of this device being used to treat chronic back pain. And it shows exactly what we're talking about. There's some really nice pictures on there of my girlfriend's cat, who I found asleep, and there's a pictorial history of it. And this is a kitten. It was about a year and a half, 2 years old at this time, I think, maybe a year and a half. And there's two of them. The little girl is this wide-eyed Energizer bunny, and the little boy has just been sluggish and not near as playful, and he's kind of the run of the litter. But anyway, he's always looked sleepy-eyed, and you can really see. I went back and found some older pictures of him and created this little pictorial. Well, he was zonked out one day, and I put this on his head and just the elation therapy. And that evening, we looked down at him, and you see his eyes, and they're just completely wide open.
No kidding.
And then I was over there last fall. We did that right about a year ago. We did this, and then went back over this summer in June, and he's still wide-eyed. He's much more like a kitten. He plays like he never did before. And as we know, animals can't fake stuff. There's either, you know, it's real or it's not with them.
Right.
So this works with animals. It works with people. And the device is called TheraGem, and you can also Google that. It's THERAGEM, or go to theragem.com. But if you go to Fusion Light Therapy, it's got my contact details, and you can directly connect in to the main company website as well.
So you work with individuals that might need some balance. It might be wound healing, as you mentioned. It could be emotional imbalance. Different lights for different things, of course. Do you carry every single color of the rainbow in the kit?
Well, yeah, what we do is we have different, and it's kind of a mixture of gemstones and color filtering. So we've pre-designed a whole wide range of these things, and there's still some being coming out. So a lot of them are blends, kind of like a wine. You might have your straight wines, and you have these blends of different things. So you can do most everything with a few. The basic unit comes with just the basic 3 gemstone, or gem cups we call them, and these are hand balanced and pre-designed, and they're easy to pop in and out. What really makes this stand out is how simple it is. The early units would take hours to operate because they would hand balance the gemstones and have to tweak all these settings.
Oh, okay.
And so modern electronics and refinement has really just made this very user-friendly and easy. So you just pop one in. And so what we can do is very broadly treat every range of symptoms with just a few different cups, gem cups we call them. And then if you specialize in a certain thing like diabetes, or really you target that, if that's maybe your practice is really built around, then we do have some customized blends that really are more finely tuned to that. So it's kind of the thing that you can start with at a very basic level and get great results. And we do offer a 2-day training, which we do, require people to get certified. And it's really more of a philosophical. This is so easy to use, you don't really need to be trained how to push, 5 different buttons.
Right.
But it's a philosophical training, and where the real magic comes in is, I'm not a therapist. I mean, I'm an electrical engineer by training, but I've gotten such great results from just following what's in the manual and just through experience. But somebody who's a trained therapist, like a massage therapist or a chiropractor, a nutritional doctor, a naturopath, a medical doctor, they bring their own unique experience. And once they really kind of understand what this is doing, they can really start to use it in ways way beyond maybe what we've outlined just in the manual, which is pretty extensive.
Right. Now, what type of practitioner do you find resonates more with this? You mentioned medical doctors. You have MDs using it. What type of doctor usually is more open-minded to this kind of therapy?
Obviously, most people that are kind of already understand holistic therapy, or if they understand some of the elements here, light, color therapy, then they're going to be much more open to it. We did just have some go into a medical center in Pasadena with MDs. There's an institute in South Florida called the Hippocrates Institute, which is a very famous. They've been using this for 7 years as their primary. Their raw food cleanse is their main thing, but they put people on these day and night. They run them nonstop through the therapies we're talking about, and that's one of the most well-respected centers in the country for things.
We had a guest in here a couple months ago that is very high on the Hippocrates Institute, and was telling me about all that showed me their magazine that they have and so on. But that's interesting that they're using that, and they're just bathing them in it, huh?
Yeah, as I understand it, they have technicians that are trained in this, and they just run people through it. And that's really, I think, the main modality that they use outside the dieting. And I had a lady actually called one time, was interested in buying one because she went down there for treatment, and her husband was a doctor, and she ended up backing out because they decided to buy a rental house or something. But she was interested because she said, I go down there and it's real expensive. I maybe just do this on myself at home. And so really almost any therapist can benefit from this. It's kind of what we're seeing. If somebody is basically based on, I have to go buy the book and I have to get insurance, this is an FDA 510K registered device, which is light therapy for minor pain relief. Gotcha. So it is recognized as that, although it's not something that's in the insurance tables and things like that. So outcome-based, if you're outcome-based as opposed to procedural-based, like, I've got to, and it is what it is. I mean, our system is based on insurance, and don't step out of the lines. But for people that really need this, I mean, and it's a pretty wide range, but I'd say massage therapy would be a great one. Really any therapy, I mean, because we're putting the body in balance. It enhances things like acupuncture. It's very akin to acupuncture in that it works on the chi or the life force energy. So they tend to understand what this is doing.
Right.
And veterinarians could use it because it works really well on animals.
Yeah.
Animals respond extremely well to energy and light. Horses, cats, dogs. I mean, we've had examples even in here. We treated one of your friends here that was in here last time I was down this way who had all kind of problems with her legs, and she just was ecstatic at how well it did. Last night I treated a lady who had to manually kick her right knee with her left leg to get it to unlock so she could get out of bed. And she'd have to hold on to the wall because she was in such pain in that knee and in her heels. We ran her last night. The pain went away, and she texted us this morning almost doing cartwheels about, I got up at night, I could get out of bed without pain. There was maybe a tiny bit of pain in one of my heels, but that was it. And she goes, I'll come wherever you are and hold up a sign outside and tell people this works. So I get such joy out of just seeing the results that it achieves.
Yeah.
I've been working with a friend's father in Nashville who was in the Vanderbilt rehab for a stroke. He had a brainstem stroke, which is the worst kind. Apparently only 33% survive that. And I said, I'll bring the light therapy up. And she had experienced it. And she goes, okay, I'll ask him. And they said, yeah, whatever you want, bring it in here. And the first day it was 3 weeks after the stroke, and he had not moved at all except for the stimulation where they do kind of like the frog thing where they shock your muscles and makes them move. But he started twitching. And that was the first movement they had seen. And then I came back a couple more times, and then I actually was going overseas, and I had an extra machine. I said, I'm going to leave it with you. And she, more and more, she said, the only time he responds is when this is actually running on him. And then he got to where he would hold it, and he could still do it. Now, he's kind of plateaued, but it was amazing, the results. It was the only thing that, now I'm sure the other stuff was helping, but this was the thing she could directly correlate. When this was on, he could start moving things and getting that back.
And are there different models of this, or what's the average cost?
This is the newest model. This is about a $5,000 instrument. It comes with a stand, a nice big stand, kind of like a boom microphone stand that you can adjust. It comes with power supply. This will run on its own power for up to an hour and battery. So if you're out in the barn or something, you don't have to have it plugged in to operate it. And it comes with a basic set of gym cups, we call them, that you can do just about everything you need at a very broad level. And then you can buy, depending on your traffic flow, bigger clinic, I would have 2 of these because you could do twice the throughput of people.
Right. And do the gems ever wear out? I mean, do you have to replace them?
They shouldn't. I mean, I guess you drop them enough, or maybe you could damage something. But the light in here will last for decades. It's a high brightness light. They're made to last, I think, 50,000 hours of use. And it has a 3-year warranty, so it's a very reliable product. And there's a lot more this will do. I mean, there's some extra multi-frequency generator, which is there's a whole database of diseases you can look up there. But that's an option that gets a little more advanced. But for the bases, it's extremely easy to operate.
Very good. Well, I want to thank you for coming in. I'd like to have you back because it feels like we just got the tip of the iceberg. But it's interesting. George has been here for all of our guests, and isn't it interesting all the talk lately about color?
Yeah, it has been a lot of talk about color.
Yeah.
And you don't ever think about it till you actually hear it, and it starts sinking in a little bit. You think, yeah, color I think has a lot to do with a lot of different things.
Right.
Absolutely.
Right.
And that's just one of like 5 elements here. So it's the synergy of all of them that really makes it so powerful.
Right.
I think. So.
And tell people again how they can get a hold of you.
Okay, if you just go to www.fusionlighttherapy.com, fusion Fusion, light Light therapy.com, and there's a contact form on there. I think my phone number should be on there, and you can learn a lot more in depth and you can link to the main TheraGym website as well, which has more information.
And you do the training nationwide?
I do the training, and I do go in and demonstrate this. And I just work on people more that are friends or people that are in need. You know, I like to do that. So I'm not a therapist myself, but I have got quite proficient with this.
Very good.
Just from experience. So.
Very good. Well, thanks a million. We'll see you again soon.
Great. Thank you for having me.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Mother Nature has the answer.